Well, back in the 80s, moving on, you were aware there was an incident at Rendlesham, which is bent waters, and that was where a large stock of nuclear warheads was stored relatively near the surface. And various books and documentaries have been written about that. Craft came in and they used the beaming method of interceding the fuse mechanism. What happens in a nuclear weapon is that the fuse goes down and becomes a critical mass, and unless that critical mass is achieved, the thing will not go pop. If you take out the plutonium fuse, which these entities can do, demonstrated can do, you have nuclear material, you have the base material, which it won't go pop. And you're aware that in America, in the Minuteman silos, various squadrons were taken down, and that was simply a different method. That was using an interface to their electronic control mechanisms. Further to that, you've probably seen video of an actual craft flying right alongside a rocket and toppling the rocket. That is, you interfere with the gyroscopic mechanism of its flight control mechanism, or you interface with the software, which is easy to do, even if it's hardened, because they can go through hardening. Hardening is a shielding mechanism. And they can take them up the sky. Even just the other week, SpaceX, there was a demonstration on the SpaceX rocket on the pad where it was blown up and taken up by firing the second and third, second, I think it's a two-stage rocket, multiple stage, the rocket was fired. So it then blew up the lower stage. It just burnt through the fuel tank and it blew up. I've myself interfaced with computers. Uri Geller could do the same thing. One of my other colleagues can do the same thing. You can take down computers. You can interface with them. You can inject information into computers if you want to. You can take them over. This is partly a function of AI. If you go back to a film, a cult film in the 1950s called Forbidden Planet, you might be aware that this, in metaphorical form, detailed the abilities of the Krell. The Krell, allegedly in this film, which was a wonderful script, could interface and transmute matter on that planet. And that planet is this planet. This is the Forbidden Planet. Yes. In different forms, there's different groups, there's different agendas. One or two groups use this place purely as a resource, purely as a way station for fueling, for biological DNA, for water and the products of water, the heavy elements of water, and energy. Other elements are resident here. They're resident here all the time, have been for a very long time. You could argue even predate the human race. And they have extensive facilities on the moon and also underground. They can master pressures and temperatures and situations. They can create underground spaces relatively easily using a technology which I understand, but which some governments do also understand. Digging tunnels. I had occasion to speak with the French Atomic Energy Commission a long time ago when they were popping off nukes in the Pacific, and I'd figured out that they were drilling through granite at a phenomenal rate, which could not be done by ordinary methods. And I spoke to their senior man, and I joked with him about this speed of drilling these holes to go way, way down. And we spoke the same language. He knew I knew what he knew, which was how you do it, which is with microwaves, basically. And I asked him, and I said, how many of these are going to pop off? Because they were going up in scale exponentially. And his answer was precisely in French. I spoke French a bit at that time. He said, until we get a result. And I said, well, what's the result? And we kind of ended that. The result was that there was a release of energy on the other side of the Pacific Plate, which killed, I think, about 90,000 Chinese, which they paid them $13 million in compensation for. And the pressure was taken off of California for a while. Now the pressure is back on California with the Cascade subduction, which goes under the North American plate, and that will pop. It's not a question of if, it's only a question of when. It can be encouraged to pop, otherwise to slip. Certain forces, including the Russians, have the capacity to do that. The next war, in my opinion, will be a war by natural elements. I saw some information just the other day, which I find alarming, that Hurricane Matthew, which we are tracking even as we speak here now, it's going over Haiti and Jamaica and heading towards Cuba and heading towards Florida, was primed in the hurricane graveyard zone just off of South America, to the north of South America, where it should have died, but it was primed and given a microwave boost. Why? God only knows why. Why would anybody wish to fire up a hurricane from Category 3 to Category 5, which it did at the moment that it got that boost, and then proceed north to Category 4 to devastate tented people in Haiti who are still living in those tents since the earthquake of some years ago? Why would anyone wish they had the authority to destroy thousands of people? There will be thousands of deaths. I will give you a prediction on that. The people who are being dominated and impacted by Hurricane Matthew are in a very serious, dangerous situation. And Haiti will never recover from this. It didn't recover from the earthquake. I won't get political. I just say that certain monies that were collected by good-natured people never got to them. But even that would not solve the current situation. Well, the key first thing is location. I've paid a lot of attention in my life as to where I was and where I should be at a given time. Location, location, location. Height above sea level, distance from the coast, don't be in an estuary, don't be in a bay where water can be funneled, don't be near a volcano, don't be near a fault zone, which is likely to pop, because they go on a regular basis. It's not a question of if, it's only a question of when. This is very sensible stuff. I'll give you an example. In Japan, the ancestors had put a plaque on the hillside that said, "Do not build underneath this plaque because we've had a tsunami." The developers over the decades built underneath the plaque. They built a nice high big seawall. The tsunami came right over the seawall, and we all know what happened there. Well, on my webpage, funny enough, there's different kinds of reactions which I value and I observe. One reaction is, "Please, Peter, you're disturbing us. You're telling us things that we'd rather not know." Well, that's my duty. That's what I'm here to do. That's what I've done for the last 53 years. Is think the unthinkable. I've paid to think the unthinkable, to come up with solutions to very difficult problems, if I could find any, along with other people. I can't apologize for knowing what I know. I can't apologize for having my attitude, which is to try to tell people what the information is. And I've been saying to people on the web pages, if you're in South Carolina or North Carolina, you should be moving inland. People in Florida should be moving out of Florida. Florida was a swamp. It's going to go back to being a swamp quite soon. Lived in Florida once. Very nice people, very nice country. Can't be helped. Moving on, you have to govern your own life. You have to take responsibility for your own karma. You cannot leave it to governments. You cannot leave it to somebody. You cannot leave it to me. I cannot rule your life or tell you what to do. All I can do is, along with a lot of other people and a lot of other information, suspicious observers and BP Earthwatch, is tell you the best knowledge on a day, and you have to make up your own mind what you do. I mean, I have lost hundreds of thousands of pounds and hundreds of thousands of dollars in the past by abandoning projects which had finished their life. Because in one instance, for example, in Florida, when I was briefed that a hurricane was about to come, and I'm still talking 14 days notice. And 14 days notice is a bit beyond most weather service predictions. And I just dumped everything and went. And here I am, still alive, and I think I came out of that with 9 suitcases and $250, but I was alive. And that's what you have to do. You have to run with the situation. You cannot say, I mean, there's people in Haiti now who are saying, I'm not moving from the coast because people might steal my stuff. And it's terrible that they're in that situation. They're so poor. They're likely to die because they're protecting their few chattels because they're nervous of losing them. But they might die in the process. I do believe individually that every single person has an option, has an opportunity to go forward, even if they lose everything in the process of going forward. You have to be prepared to trust in yourself, trust in whatever you call God or Allah or whatever other name you want to give the cosmic force. You have to believe in miracles. You can make miracles happen, but above all, you have to value yourself and your fellow man and woman and child and family, and you have to value your planet. You're not going to get another one. If people think they're going to ascend onto a cloud in 18 months' time and float off and be greeted by Jesus, no, that's not going to happen. It's not going to happen. There is no free lunch. So pay attention to location, pay attention to where that location is in terms of its climate, and climate will change. This is not due to mankind. Mankind's effect on the climate is 3%. 97% is solar change. Change of orbit. We have a change of orbit at the moment. Just a light aircraft. We have a change of orbit at the moment. So you have to register that arid areas will become more arid. Cold areas could become colder, hot areas could become hotter. Some temperate zones could become more tropical. Some tropical zones could become more temperate. This is a very complex science. You don't know exactly how the orbit's going to settle down. You don't know how the tilt's going to settle down. The Earth is likely to tilt a little bit and then perhaps tilt back. It's already started to do it. It wobbles. You call this perturbulence. All planets do this due to the gravimetric forces involved, magnetic forces involved. When there is a big CME, that's coronal mass emission, it will slightly slow the rotation of the Earth. That puts huge pressures on the plates, momentum pressures. They will slip, they will jump. Be guided, use your intelligence, use your 3 brain cells that are working on that day. Figure it out. If need be, sell. Sell in a hurry, sell at a loss. Don't put your money into too many fiat currencies, too many bits of paper. Put it into gold, put it into silver, put it into things that work, put it into land, put it into vehicles, put it into equipment, put it into people. Community is important. I'm not a communist, but community is important. You need people, you need friends. You need people who you can trust in a dire situation, who will put themselves in harm's way.